Greetings, everyone. This is Rockwell Spot Convention with the weekly comic book roundup. We'll get started with this week's X-Men book, starting with X-Men number 7. So, we begin on Krakoa in the Academos habitat, part of the Sextant. This is where all of the younger mutants, generally speaking, when it comes to mutants who we know, it's the home of mostly of the ones that were were introduced as students. Generation X, the New Mutants, presumably also the Hellions, so on and so forth. Right. Melody Guthrie wakes up, goes out to breakfast where she's greeted by her family, some of her family members, her brothers, Sam Cannonball Guthrie and Joshua Icarus Guthrie, and her sister Paige Husk Guthrie. And so they have news for her. Apparently, it's time for Melody's Crucible. So, cut to the summer house. Logan's just woken up, as has Scott, and they're having coffee. Logan wants to just sit there and enjoy his coffee in peace, but, well, Scott wants to talk about Crucible. And he also wants to invite Logan to come with him, Jean, and the kids when they go to Chandelure. Logan will not, however, be attending the Crucible. Not because he thinks it's wrong, and even if he did feel that way, it's not like he has a say in the matter. And Logan's answer really kind of boils down to, if you're really grappling with this, maybe you should talk to a priest. Which Scott feels is a good idea, so he goes to find Nightcrawler. While looking for him, he runs into Doug and Krakoa, and he briefly thinks he runs into Warlock with them, though he looks again and Warlock is gone. So he talks to so Scott and Kirk talk about the whole thing, and there's a building, tall forked towers, it's hollow inside, but there's no way in. Apparently, Logan tried to cut it. Or trying to cut his way in, and just sealed back up. However, Nightcrawler has been in there. Teleported in on a leap of faith. And it seemed like it was what he would have designed as the perfect home when he was younger. And so, apparently they're not... Cyclops is the only one struggling with the concept of Crucible. Kurt is as well. And in fact, Kurt has many questions about just how things are anymore. Largely due to his Catholic upbringing. We cut to later on in the day. Then we find out what Crucible is. As Exodus explains, is talking with is teaching some of the mutant children. Um, Explaining that it's basically an opportunity for a depowered mutant to die as a mutant, and then hopefully be reborn, and then be reborn as a mutant. Also, cutting back to Cyclops and Nightcrawler, Cyclops is now trying to ask, just how did they come up for the protocol? And Kurt says, Jean didn't tell you, but then Scott explains that they've both been really busy, and Scott's been forgetting to ask. And he doesn't want to ask Emma because he's afraid of what the answer might be. And we pass by, and seriously, this is one thing I love about how they're doing the X-Men. The X-Men title is you get group shots to say, "Oh, hey, here's this character we really haven't done anything with yet, but just so you know, yes, they are back among the living." Selene, Dakin. So on and so forth. But so Crucible comes along, but the idea is that it's first off, it kind of seems rather obvious that this was Apocalypse's idea. It does come off as his style, but another thing with Crucible is to basically not overtax the Five and the Resurrection protocols by basically having thousands of depowered mutants commit suicide. And apparently there are also depowered mutants with wills, basically saying, I want to be brought back. An example given is, I want to be brought back in Magneto's body with Magneto's powers. So, yeah. And so Crucible happens, and Melody Guthrie must face Apocalypse in a one-on-one sword fight. And the fight happens, and even though, yes, Melody's end goal is death, she still fights like mad. And both Cannonball and Husk need to be practically held back to stop from jumping in to prevent Apocalypse from killing her. However, she is then resurrected and proves that her power. She thanks Apocalypse for what he's done for her. And she shows off her mutant powers for all to see. And Cyclops does say, whether or not Crucible is right or wrong, it is something. And it looks like Nightcrawler is going to start a mutant religion. And that is where the issue ends. Moving on to New Mutants, number 8. So, where we left off on our Earthbound New Mutants, the team put together by Armor, while they did manage to get Beak and Angel back to Krakoa with their kids. Sadly, Beak's parents were killed in the process. And however, Maxime and Manon made basically made Beak think. At least made Beak think, if not also made Angel think that Beak's parents died years ago. So, also, the attack on Beak's family farm was committed by representatives of a small Central American country that's pretty much fueled by the drug, that's pretty much funded by the drug trade. The issue begins at Blackstone. Maxime and men on it are talking with Sebastian Shaw, telling him what occurred in Nebraska, and then he steps through one of the gates. We then cut to the Amazon rainforest, where where a young mutant is running through the jungle from a creature that is then brought down by arrows, and the mutant is then told they're safe. The next day, the Pack Rat 2 arrives at Nova Roma, which is hidden within the Amazon rainforest. Team members Magma, Boom Boom, and Armor get off. Magma being a native of Nova Roma. And they speak with Magma's father. There's also a quick write-up on Nova Roma, explaining that it's a republic, major languages being, being English and Latin, population 50,000, takes up about 21 square kilometers, hidden deep within the Amazon jungle of Brazil, founded in 44 CE. Very insular, tend to refrain from involving themselves in foreign relations and trade with other nations. So, the three X-Men speak to the young mutant, who explains that the gates in Brazil are being guarded by creatures. And, in fact, his friend left with... Or, the mutant in particular had a couple friends that were eaten by the creatures. So, the three new mutants go off in the jungle to find the creatures, and they get to one of the gates, and they wait, and then the creatures attack. And turns out these things are durable, as one's able to body slam Magma and shrug off one of Boom Boom's time bombs. However, they're not immune to being ripped in half, as Armor proves. And she then suggests that Boom Boom stick a time bomb down the throat of one of them, which works like a charm. Meanwhile, in Bohem, Costa Perdita, Sebastian Shaw is meeting with the head of the cartel that employed Tumulo, Tumulo and the gang that attacked Beak's family farm. And so, Sebastian Shaw has stated that people of Costa Perdita will be getting Krakoa pharmaceuticals. From the Carrasco cartel. Basically saying, hey, you started this negotiation by putting a gun to our heads. Well, we're going to break you for that. The next day, the mutants have gathered up other mutants in the area that need in need of saving and need a way to Krakoa and leave. However, it seems the creator of the creatures has come across the remains of the ones that fought the New Mutants. There's also an excerpt from the diary of Tabitha Smith. She's not happy about the fact that Beast and Wolverine are using the X-Force name without her, and, the fact that management standards are so lax that they let Quentin Quire be on the team. That's where the issue ends. And I think New Mutants is actually going to be largely just is going to just be the Brisson stuff and have a more wider, less focused, more self-contained group of arcs. Moving on to X-Force number 8. Where we left off in X-Force number 7, it turns out that the human supremacy group known as Xeno has cloned Domino. However, in reverse. Instead of chalk white skin with a pitch black spot over her eye, she's got pitch black skin with a chalk white spot over her eye. Also, because of this clone's existence, Domino's luck is off. So we begin in London. The clone is in a hotel room, talking with someone, with a minister. Gets him to beg for her. But when she comes out, she's met by, well, Domino. The two of them fight briefly, but Domino is the victor, shooting her clone, who, it should be noted, had already removed her ear, which had some garrote spooled in it, or which had some wires spooled in it, which she was going to use as a garrote to kill the minister from the House of Commons that she was with, before he could bring pro-mutant legislation to the floor. Back on Krakoa, autopsy reveals that the Domino clone was actually pretty similar to the assassins sent to the island in X-Force number 1, with, hypermusculature, oversized adrenal glands, reinforced bones, explosive putty in the teeth. Noteworthy exception is that the other assassins had skin grafted onto them to avoid detection. She had Domino's very DNA woven into her. But Domino's started thinking her luck's coming back as she recently found a 4-leaf clover. Explaining that wherever she lives, they grow. And wherever she goes, she finds them. Sometimes hundreds a day. So she goes for a late night swim, runs in the Colossus, and the two talk for a bit. And they both explain that, all the pain that, both of them feel the need to remember all the pain they've been through. Sage, however, has found something interesting. And it looks as though Xeno now has, rather than having a lab in a set location, instead they have a mobile lab aboard a train. So Colossus and Domino sneak a portal seedling aboard a Russian train. As the train with the lab, that's basically the lab, passes by, the two manage to get aboard. Where they find a lot of Domino clones. And the pieces to make even more. So while Domino fights off the various clones, Colossus gets out of the train and stops it with, his body. Which also grievously injures Domino, and she asks him to promise her, since it looks like she's about to die again, that she will, when she's brought back, she'll remember everything, all the pain. There's a brief entry about the man with the peacock tattoo, kind of suggesting that them and Orcus may be much more closely connected than initially thought. However, someone new, a new player in Xeno, who asks what the destruction of the lab has cost Xeno. And so the man with the peacock tattoo orders his bodyguard to do something about the this new member who we only see in shadow, and the bodyguard probably gets tossed aside like a rag doll. He then suggests that someone stop hiding in the shadows. The time has come for a resolution of strength and a declaration of war. It also looks very much as though this man also killed, or at least seemingly killed the bodyguard of the man with the peacock tattoo. That's where the issue ends. Moving on to X-Men Fantastic Four number 2. Well, where we left off, the X-Men went to the Fantastic Four to basically say, hey, give us your mutant son. The Fantastic Four predictably said no, because, I mean, he's their teenage son. They're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, by all means. You know, a country that basically has a gigantic target on its head from who knows how many people. Yes, we're totally going to let our teenage son just move there. However, Reed trying to be a protective father blew up in his face, and well, Franklin ran away from home and ended up aboard the Marauder, which was summarily stopped by none other than Dr. Doom. So we begin with Cyclops talking with the Richards family. The Fantastic Four, explaining, "Hey, look, we don't have Franklin or Valeria. We swear." And let's just say there's some differences of opinion. Simply put, the conversation does not go well between the two groups. So it's decided they're going to Krakoa to get the kids back, because they don't trust that they're not there. And so Kate Pryde wakes up at a dinner table with Dr. Doom, Franklin, and Valeria. And he explains that the mutants that Kate was there to save, are actually Latvians, and they're here on the island to be, they're kept here on the island, as a safety measure. On Doom Island. But he also means to presumably fix whatever is wrong with Franklin's powers. Meanwhile, a crew of multiple men have found the Marauder abandoned and drifting off the coast of Japan. And so they're going to go after where the mutants that Kate had been going after. And however, they realize that there's a good chance that the FF is already there. And yeah, they are. So we get the fight, this time on Krakoa. Back on Doom Island, it's explained that yes, things have been done in such a manner so that at the moment Kate can't use her powers on the island. None of them can. And however, the fight with the FF, the X-Men did manage, or knocked out Sue Storm first. However, it also turns out that the suits they're wearing are capable of blocking psychic attacks. And so, and Reed actually used that to the group's advantage, opening the visor and oh hey, So Emma gets in, and then waking Sue up, but then the visor is closed back down, so now Sue's awake. And they leave in the Fantastic Car. And Cyclops assembles a squad to go after them. So the Marauders crew is freed by Kitty, by Kate. She basically, kind of hey, basically doing like, hey, I'll talk to you, and then yeah, by all means, free your crew. But Doom is Doom, and he has plans, and they're probably not the best of plans. Seeing as how he's constructing a large group of totally not Sentinel Doom bots. That is where the issue ends. Alright, moving on to Giant Size X-Men, Jean Grey and Emma Frost. So, in this one-shot, we open up with a couple young mutants flying over Krakoa. And one of them sees something. Storm collapsed, bleeding and unconscious. So she's taken to a room that's marked "Silence, Psychic Rescue in Progress." Jean and Emma go to rescue her. Jean back in her X-Men Red era uniform. And so Jean and Emma go into Aurora's mind and face various challenges to prove that, hey, they are who they're supposed to be. Admittedly, it takes some convincing on the part of Emma. But it turns out that Orcus has seemingly infected Storm with the Children of the Vault gave Storm a machine virus that's going to kill her in the next 30 days. Which Orcus is connected to the Children of the Vault, so And that is where the issue ends. And actually, it's a largely silent issue, as most of it is all done, told visually. It's actually really awesome. Alright, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.